the Giants and Steelers game that is awesome. Darius has a question for you.
Yeah, I haven't watched the film yet in detail, and I know you probably talked to your brother Tej, but Jermaine Eluemunor made some comments before the game and then after the game. Was TJ locked up out there? Now, have you ever had an experience where a young or old tackle kind of talked some shit in the media before playing you?
Besides all that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Classic.
Oh, good throwback.
I mean, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are you doing? You gave up the strip sack fumble that lost the game. Like, oh my God, what's wrong? Like, what are we doing here, man? Do you have, like, this is the thing that frustrates me about that. So before the game, the guy says, I want to be on an island all along with TJ.
Mm-hmm.
TJ goes out there, has 7 tackles, 2 sacks, forced fumbles, strip sack, wins the game.
That's it.
Guy was on an island on the play, one-on-one on the island. That's your job on the game on the line. Most important play of the entire game. You didn't do it. TJ, after the game, asked about it. Perfect opportunity where even I probably would have been like, yeah, he asked for it, he got it. But do you have TJ's interview? Connor, do you have that?
No, we do not. We do not. But,
great.
we do not have it. But you say you being petty and he not, I assume?
But no, he said, yes, I heard those comments, but I respect everybody in this league. Everybody's job is hard. Everybody has a difficult job. He just wants to do his job. He was extremely kind about it. And I was like, oh, wow, that was very mature of you. Good job. And then this guy, the next 2 days later, 3 days later, comes out and says he locked him up all game. Well, no, you didn't. You would have won the game if you locked him up all game. So, like, in the play,
So hold on, though. So 2 sacks, obviously, you would assume that 60 plays, 65 plays, how many normally are there out there? So if you get 2 sacks, is that considered that's considered a massive day for a defensive end, right? Is that what he's talking about? Did you watch the film of this guy, AQ Shipley?
I did. Do you remember what I said this morning?
No, what'd you say?
I can't. It was a bad take by this guy.
Really? Against TJ?
Yeah.
Well,
like, I was, like, actually going in there, like, thinking, like, okay, he's going to be on an island all day. Like, 90% of it was slide to him with the chip, there was, like, 4 guys literally in the vicinity trying to affect TJ. And then a ton of the plays going the other way. It was just, like, run the other way so he has, like, a one-on-one block backside. But, like, that's the easiest block in football. You could just literally fall down.
So he didn't take it.
And if you ask to be on an island all day and you say you want to be on an island all day, it's very easy to say that when you've seen the game plan and you know that your coach isn't going to leave you on an island all day. You also know that even on that play that won the game for you, you weren't supposed to be on an island. Your coach didn't believe in you so much that he came out after the game and said, no, we did not want him on an island.
Middle of the game.
We wanted somebody over there.
Middle of the game, we decided, actually, hey, wherever the hell this guy is, we got no islands. We got no islands on the wall.
That was my biggest takeaway from watching that film. I think, Nick, I think you remember me. I was like, I don't even know what offense this is. Like, they were literally running a completely different offense because that's how much, like, they were affected by that guy on the other side.
So when somebody comes out and says this, they just have this short-term memory where they're like, I killed the guy. I remember a lot of good plays against TJ just so they can get to the next week. Is that like a confidence-driven thing? Like, why would you say that? No,
I will say this about offensive linemen. This is the true and honest, fair assessment. It is very, very difficult for an offensive lineman because 1 sack could constitute a bad game for them, whereas 1 sack for a defensive lineman could constitute a great game. So if I have 1 great play and it happens to be on your 1 bad play and I get a sack, boom, I had a great day. I could have had a real shitty other 59 plays, but I had a great day. Vice versa, offensive lineman, let's call it 1 or 2 sacks. 2 bad plays on the whole day could ruin your entire day, could make people think you had a bad day. Now, I personally think this guy had a rough day in other parts as well. Yeah, sure, you blocked him like 2 or 3 times. Great job. Congrats. But like the whole job of an offensive lineman, and it's why it's such a difficult job, is you have to do it every single play for the entire game. That's what makes a guy like Lane Johnson so impressive when he doesn't give up quarterback hits or sacks, or Trent Williams. That's what makes it so impressive because they do it consistently for the entire game. So for you to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I only gave up 2 sacks today, well, that's a shitty day. I'm sorry.
Crazy.
Yeah, that stinks for offensive linemen.
You got to have a ridiculous sense of confidence. Just like corner. You know, you can have 58 great snaps. You have 1 bad snap in the fourth quarter, cut this guy, get rid of him. On the flip side, defense, like you said, you get a sack a game, you're in the Hall of Fame. First ballot.
17 a year?
Yeah.
That would be bananas if you were able to do that. And all you're looking for is that one. Do you think your job much easier than offensive lineman? I'll ask the offensive lineman first.
Well, to their point, timing is everything too, because now you're down 7 or 10 in the fourth quarter, and now it's just pass fest, and they're in a jetted up stance, and it's pass after pass with no threat of run. Like that really goes into it, and then you give up 1 or 2 in that thing as a tackle. But I agree. I mean, I think DJ Humphrey said this one time. He's like, I got to block the freakiest athlete on the other side while I'm going backwards. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. But coming out with no awareness afterwards is certainly even tougher. It seems like this is a new thing. It seems like this is a new thing. I like that.
I kind of love it.
I do too.
It's entertaining. Adds some entertainment, that's for sure.
This is what the election season has done.
Exactly.
Athletes see these people just get on microphones just lying.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Well, you're not allowed to. Everybody but Anthony Richardson.
We're going to fact check.
We got the tape, actually. But no, I've seen it.
They have film. You're talking like we don't have film of the game. Like,
right.
We all watched it. And, we can go back and see how you did.
How do you feel about Coach Dabo after that game?
That was interesting to me, man. It was interesting that he just came out and basically blatantly threw Daniel Jones under the bus. He was like, we were supposed to slide the protection over there and get the tight end over there to chip, and he just didn't do it. He feels really bad about it. We just talked about it in the locker room, actually, and he does feel really bad about it. If you just talked about it in the locker room, you spoke to him, you don't need to come out and tell the whole world that he screwed up on that play. In my personal opinion, I thought that was a little strange. I also personally thought at the end of the first half something was very telling. They had a 2-minute drive with like a minute 43 left. They had 2 timeouts, and they just got the ball. And they decided to run draws on back-to-back plays. Now, the third down play was a big pass, but what that tells me is if you're going to run a draw on the first 2 plays of a 2-minute drill, when you have 2 timeouts and a minute 43 left, that means that you don't trust your quarterback or your offense. You're just like, let's see if we can get anything out of this, and if not, we'll just move on. And that was very telling to me, but then also coming out after the game and saying basically it was 100% the quarterback's fault. Man.
I just talked to him.
People are just throwing people under the bus left and right.
He feels terrible out there. I just talked to him. He'll probably say the same thing you. He feels bad. It was very evident we're not letting TJ do one-on-one. No islands. He'll tell you. I just talked to him. He's crying.
He played well, too.
Yeah, it was his fault.
Yeah, he lost us the game.
So
Again.
I told him. I don't know if you guys see hat, new face, a little bit. I'm on top of my shit right now.
It is a bit surprising that he was so blatant about that.
He's sick of him.
I just talked to him. This guy.
He just told me all his fault. Put it on himself.
Covered his ass.
I told Mara, too. Yeah, it was his fault.
Yeah. I talked to Joe Shane in front of Mara. And
I told him he should tell him. He'll be in to talk to you after. He's going to go upstairs and tell them.
Mr. Mara, I just talked to Daniel Jones. He said 100% his fault for sure, and he's going to come tell you that too. I just want to let you know that I told you that he knew, that he told me that he knew. So
he feels terrible.
But in his defense, he did say the 2-point play wasn't Daniel's fault. He was very adamant about that. I don't believe it was his fault either. It was somebody else's fault, but it wasn't Daniel. He made sure to not put the 2 point.
Dable's like, that's not me. Obviously, I wouldn't do something like that. No, somebody did out here, and it's not Daniel, though. Now, what Daniel did do was that the game loser.
Yeah, that was his fault.
100% him.
Fool.
If you want to take
Maybe Daniel just knew that our buddy wanted to be on island. He was like, hey, he asked for the island. Here's the island.
In the huddle. Yeah. You wanted it, right? This is the time. You got it. All right, I'm not sliding. We got another person out. All right, sweet. Good luck out there, brother. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted.
Eluemunor said in that same interview he was expecting chip help on that last play.
Yikes. It never ends. These people. It never ends. I don't understand.
But that's also, I got to give credit. You got to give credit to the other side. Alex Highsmith had 2 sacks in this game. He's back from injury. He's healthy. That's what happens when you've got him on the other side balling too. You pick your poison. You want to get TJ. Well, I guess in this matter, it doesn't matter. Your poison's coming both ways.
Hey, TJ was flopping there a little bit more than I'd seen him in the past.
Yeah, it was the first time I've really noticed that as well. They're trying to do anything. They're trying to do anything to get some one-on-ones because his chip percentage, his double team percentage has been through the roof. So they're trying to do anything, and it's really nice to have Highsmith over there who's balling himself.
Did you like his stance on the other side or no? We working on that this week? What are we doing?
We were talking about it. So he had a couple nice rushes over there. The one thing that I was texting him during the game that he's got to work on because he's not used to it. He's just purely not used to it on that side is the top end of his rush. When you're ripping through or the guy's got your jersey, the hardest thing to do is that final little get off so you can actually get the sack as opposed to a pressure. And I think that's the one thing he's just not as comfortable with on that side yet. He's got good rushes. It's just the finish that he's got to get comfortable
So what's he got to work on? He's just got to put something in the house that's sticking off the wall.
Get off.
So he can.
Yeah, it's just flipping your hips the other way, because you think about it, he's always rushing off one side, so you're always flipping your hips one way. You're constantly flipping your hips one way the entire time. You're used to it. You're comfortable. On the other side, you're flipping your hips completely the opposite way. So the flexibility, the movement, the muscle mass, the muscle recognition is just different.
Just need to put a couple things on the wall.
That's all.
Good work, those things.
Get off of that.
Flip the hips.
What do you do with them?
Yeah, what was that? What's on your wall?
It's DJ's wall, not my wall. I don't need to work on it.
That thing protruding out of the wall like a long object?
Yeah, it's rubber, I think, because you don't want to hurt yourself. Can't be metal.
Oh, you
obviously.
chop
That'd be
and you
stupid.
rip it. Okay.
Yeah, chop and rip it. It bounces back every time.
Get underneath.
Yeah, dip under it. Put the shoulder under it.
Yeah. And move your head out of the way as well.
How about the stick? Yeah, you could.
You gotta. yeah, exactly.
Like a box.
Stick and move. Yeah.
Jeez.
Don't be backing up in that room.
Oh, my God.
You're going to want to have eyes on the target.
Eyes wide open.
We're going to want to have eyes on target there. TJ, you want to get better or not? That's what I want to know.
That's a fair question.
That's all I want to know. There was a magical play that we will talk about for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe for the next few years between number 1 overall pick versus number 2 overall pick. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Jage, what are your thoughts on just that whole Hail Mary in Washington? If you're on the Bears, how do you view Tyreek Stevenson if you're one of the guys that was on defense when he was, bumping his gums to the crowd? He said he was just talking with Bears fans, celebrating, and then he realizes, oh, shit, these guys are already 40 yards downfield. I better go, try to make sure they don't score a touchdown. And is this the type of play that can just absolutely break the Bears' back and basically end their season?
Yeah, I think this one's obviously for good reason been talked about a lot this week. And I think that he came out and apologized, rightfully so. There's really nothing you can possibly say about it. My favorite one is the fact that literally if he just stayed over there and kept talking shit, it would have been a better outcome. If he just did not come back and tip the ball directly to Noah Brown, that it would have been better for him to just stay over there talking trash. My big thing, just like a lot of people's big thing, is the second to last play. Like, these are situations that you work on literally every single week. Every single week you go through end-of-game situations. Generally at the end of Friday's practice, you have a list of about 15 plays that you go through. Hey, we're going through all these scenarios. This is what we're going to do if we get into this spot, if we get into that spot. Like, we generally have calls called orange, where on the second to last play, where there's only 6 seconds left, you don't let them run an out pattern out of bounds to get more yards to set themselves up for a Hail Mary. Clearly, they were defending a Hail Mary on that play, which would have been like a 90-yard, 80-yard Hail Mary, which is never going to happen. So I don't know what the goal of that was. You have to stop them. If they could have taken care of this entire issue on the second to last play and never had to worry about this exact scenario. And the other crazy thing to me was Jaden had like 10 more yards to step up if he wanted to. The ball was actually short. He could have stepped up 10 more yards to make the throw even easier, but it all worked out in the end.
Short, I think it lands in end zone if it was to get to ground. But you're saying jump ball, it's definitely early. It was like, yeah. Hell of a huck. Hell of a huck.
What about?
You're only supposed to have one person jump for the ball. D-Buck, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always been taught there's only one person who should ever be jumping for the ball. They had 4, I think.
Yeah, one should be one jumper. Everybody else boxing out, ball you, man. What about the overall philosophy, though? I think it was Vikings, maybe Detroit a few years ago, where they sent pressure after the quarterback in this situation instead of, playing the typical Hail Mary. What's your thoughts on the overall philosophy with defense in this situation?
I personally, being a pass rusher, being a guy who believes I can get to the quarterback in any scenario, if we're only rushing 2 or 3 like most people do in their Hail Mary scenario, it's very, very difficult. Everybody gets double teamed. Refs let them get away with holds. We know that. We see that right here. I like bringing 5. I like just bringing it, trying to force them to make – because the quarterback needs time. The receivers need to get down the field. The quarterback needs time to set up. If you can just make him not comfortable, then you're fine. So I like bringing pressure. I'm a guy that likes to bring 5.
You want to bring the boom?